punched in the face. Yeah, just like literally, ASMR is getting to the point where people's microphones are just in the back of their throat, and they're just like,
I would have to be like this.
Yeah. I'm just like, who is into that? I guess when I hear it, I'm just like, what? Speak up.
Yeah. And you can hear like everything.
Yeah, all the chewing and stuff. Ugh.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to mute my mic.
Great, I love it.
That's awesome.
I love it.
That was my ad on YouTube for the channel.
Oh,
so.
Lovely, lovely.
Good, everybody. All right, everybody, welcome for joining us today. Our inestimable leader Harry has made his journey into the West, at least for this week. He's here on the stream, but he'll be quiet today. He's just going to be helping with some media. I'm Gregory. I'll be filling in for the week, and I think Harry will be Gandalf the Whiting for us and coming back next week. In the meanwhile, let's introduce everybody. In the top left, we've got Ms. Nicolene Bangen.
How's it going? Always a pleasure.
In the top right, we've got a special guest this week, Rory.
Yo, what's up, everyone?
Next up, in the middle left, we've got Chase.
Hey, guys.
On the right, we welcome back our normal Frederick.
Hello.
And then in the bottom left, we've got Henry.
Salve, Amicus. I'm glad to be back.
All right. Thank you, everybody. So let's dive right in. This episode is called The Eye. I want to hear some theories about why that is, and will this be the episode that Sauron is revealed? What do you think that means? And I guess, let's start with Nikki.
Well, I'm kind of hoping it doesn't mean what I think it means, because, everybody, when they hear the eye, they picture the eye, the eye of Sauron, and this isn't that. At least not, it shouldn't be, because it's too early for the eye of Sauron, right? So, maybe there is some other like resemblance of it, or I don't know. Like I only just learned that that's what the episode was called. I'd made all of these thoughts in my head about what was going to happen next, but the fact that it's called the Eye kind of threw me off a little bit. Maybe it's the eye of someone else. Maybe it's the eye of the Mystics. Maybe it's the eye of Morgoth. Maybe something else. I don't know. I'm gonna wait and see.
That's a good question. Does anyone have any theories about what the eye could be if it's not Sauron?
Could it be is there a Palantir in Eregion? Or is it just the one that we know of in Numenor? Because I'm trying to remember. I was trying to dig through my little. Once I saw the title reveal, I was trying to dig through my little memory bank and be like, where are the other Palantir at this point? But I wonder if it has something to do with that. Maybe Muriel brought it with her.
Maybe.
But I have no idea. That was just my thought. If it's called the Eye.
What do you think about? Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I have a thought that if it's not Sauron, it's really hard to figure out what else it could be. But I was thinking, do you remember in the trailer where we see Galadriel waking up from what we now know is a volcanic eruption, and just her eye with all the dust opens up? I'm thinking that's the eye.
Oh, or the Eye of the Storm, even. Yeah, something like that. That's interesting.
Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. The Eye of the Storm. I can deal with that. Them being in the Eye of the Storm, basically, because of all the chaos that's happening. Because we know that's what's going to happen. Like, you wake up from a volcanic eruption. Obviously, the land's going to be covered in darkness. Obviously, the orcs are going to be thrilled by this and probably wandering around freely. And a lot of people are going to be dead. So, how are they going to get out of this one?
That actually brings up a good question that we saw a lot of talk on the the Reddit and the Twitter and all that good stuff this week around the question of pyroclastic flow and would anyone survive this. So I'm curious what you guys think about. Do you think Amazon? I mean, it's a fiction. It's a work of fiction, so maybe they don't need to explain everything. But do you think Amazon's going to address that in some way? Is the show going to address that, or how do you think they're going to get out of this this pickle? This
I don't think they're going to address it outside of the whole here's who's fine, here's who isn't fine.
Mhm.
But I do after multiple conversations and also my own sort of reading up on this, that it seems to potentially actually be slightly different and not a pyroclastic flow, which obviously we know, well, most people will potentially be aware that it gets to hundreds and hundreds of degrees. It goes at insane speeds, but actually a pyroclastic surge, which is essentially the same kind of thing, but a lot slower, a lot cooler, and which would make more sense for something that seems to be a number of dozen miles away from the mountain. So the survivability is much more sort of open-ended in that sort of sense.
But if this is true, like you said, I don't know the other term you used, but if that's the case, I don't think they will address that at all.
No.
They will just move on and, like you said, show who is alive and who isn't. But my question is, do you think that anyone of significance will die, or is it like?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we
I
know
think
people have to survive. There are certain people that, like, for this show to even go on, has to survive. So there's that.
I have
Yeah, I
a
think-
sneaking suspicion that Ontoma will
Yeah.
be on the chopping block. I don't want it, but I feel.
Let's play a hot takes game. I want to hear from each of you who you think by the end of the season, sometime in the next 2 episodes, is your hot take for who's not going to make it to season 2. And I guess let's start with you, Nikki.
Out of the people we've seen right now, that's hard because they've taken all of this time to establish this, and I kind of feel like they're not Game of Thrones. They're not just going to kill off people. But if I had to choose, I would say maybe Bronwyn. Maybe, but like,
What about you, Rory?
Ooh, if this was a show with some cojones like Game of Thrones, I think like everyone would die in that volcano, but except like one person somehow miraculously by the Lord of Light. But no, I really don't think anyone definitely obviously none of the canon characters will die, but I don't think anyone will really die except maybe there's got to be like 1 or 2 red shirts. You mentioned Atomo and
Isildur's friends. Yes, I can see that happening. Like anyone who isn't like super like the actual characters that are we've been following, and some that have to survive because the ring and.
But like, which of the named Southland characters would survive in that then? Like, would Bronwyn survive?
Yeah, I want to hear some spicy takes. What about you, Chase?
So I mean, we know kind of based on teasers and some of that who is gonna not everyone who's gonna survive this thing, but I think one main character will die in the show. It will not be Bronwyn because she already had a near-death moment in this last episode, and it would be cheap to just have her survive, just to have her die from something right afterwards. Like we've lost that sort of that moment. What's going to be that? Am I allowed to say something if I have some insider information? Potential.
Here's my question:
Is it about Dumbledore?
Know who's going to die, or do you just have theories based on circumstantial evidence?
I have someone who's flat out told me someone's going to die, and so I'm wondering if I.
Yeah.
Okay, I won't do that. I won't do that. This was something I got a message this morning from someone I haven't talked to in over a year, and they were just like, "How do you feel about this?" And I was like, "Is this real?" So I have to do some digging about that. But I think it'll be someone not in the Southlands. Let's put it that way.
Well, to our streamers
That's
out
what I'm
there,
thinking as well.
we have now revealed that someone will die.
Yeah,
thank you,
I
Chase.
think someone will die, of course.
And, what about you, Frederick? Any thoughts?
I was just trying to remember what Isildur's horse,
Beric.
Beric. If you
Monster.
think, yeah, I think that the horse will die. Sadly, that's a canon character from now on, in my opinion. But
Henry,
yeah,
how about you?
I think they will as well.
Horses or a horse?
Yeah. Well, Beric.
Beric specifically.
Dude,
Yeah.
we just got introduced to him. I'll be heartbroken if he dies. He didn't get to finish that
Same.
apple.
I don't like it when they kill off animals.
We've got a lot
I'm
of
so glad that horse got up after he got
Oh,
knocked down.
that was such a good shot. I was so.
That horse is an amazing actor. That thing,
Yeah.
that horse better be
Oh.
nominated for a Golden Globe. That was incredible.
Yeah.
As we've got quite a bit
Yeah.
to go through, so I'm going to move us along. One thing, so in the chat, Harry put up a poll asking if we think we're going to get a Sauron reveal this episode. My question, what I'm curious about is whether or not you think how that's going to unfold. Is it a character we haven't seen before? Is it a character we have seen before? Will it be a partial reveal? Will it just be a straight up? Like my personal take is that the audience and the characters are not going to learn at the same time. What do you all think about that? And why don't we start with the person with a smug grin on his face, Chase?
I don't think we're gonna find out this episode. I would say that they're gonna save that. I do think this episode we will get some talk of ring making. That's my theory for this episode. But no Sauron reveal yet. And I definitely think you're right. Right. I think we will know before the characters will know.
What about you, Henry?
Yeah, the whole thing of like Sauron being revealed seems like such a season ending kind of just event, and I feel like having it anywhere other than the end seems just a bit anticlimactic and wouldn't make sense. As for like who's going to find out when, I think there will be like maybe one or two characters who do find out when Sauron is revealed to us, but then the rest of the people will be in dark and they'll have to find out later on.
One of the interesting things about the last episode was it seemed to really finally truly confirm that Adar is not Sauron. And it's a little ambiguous what happens to him at the end of the episode. How much more of him are we going to get? Do you think is he going to come back, or was that the end? Based on what we saw, Frederick, what do you think?
They had one small shot of him. One shot that showed him that he wasn't left in the barn. So he definitely escaped, I think. And we will see him probably in the next episode. How, I don't know. But I think that we are not done with Adar because he just started his big scheme with the eruption of Mount Doom. So I think we will see him really soon.
Do you think that he's sort of? I saw one theory that Adar is accidentally doing Sauron's bidding. That, even though he hates Sauron, he doesn't think so. This is actually a deep ploy from Sauron himself to get him to turn the key and create Mordor. What do you all think of that?
I love that.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Yeah, I like it. It fits thematically with Tolkien as well, like deception and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he seems to think that he killed Sauron. So, and obviously we all know that he didn't. So maybe it's part of his grand scheme or like his play. We do see bad guys do that a lot, like trick other smaller bad guys or even good guys to do their bidding. So, yeah.
Someone else who's been remarkably absent from all the promotional materials was one of our heroes in the last episode, Halbrand. And I'm a little curious to hear what you guys think about where he's going or why he's been absent, or where we think we have really, if we'll bring up some of the stills in a moment, we have some really interesting combinations of characters in this current episode, in this upcoming episode. But Halbrand is nowhere to be found. Any thoughts on that? Why don't we start with Rory?
Ooh, that's very telling, isn't it? It could be a misdirect. It could be like, oh, everyone wonder where Halbrand is. We haven't shown him for 60 minutes, and then it might be a misdirect. But I think it's more likely that he is Sauron, unfortunately.
Unfortunately,
No, I don't like the Halbrand is Sauron theory at all, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, neither do I.
I think it would be so
not.
tasty.
I'm
Absolutely not. But at least we get sexy Sauron.
Mhm.
I mean,
I hope everything he's like someone we haven't seen before at all. Like he's none of.
Oh, you hope it's someone we haven't seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Cool. Yeah.
Me too. Then again, like the last episode was actually the first episode where I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, I know. And I was listening to their breakdown video with Lakitia and Strider and Fen. Everyone's like, it's probably Halbrand. Especially after last episode. So I don't know.
He does ask Adar, "Do you remember me?" So that was very interesting because he's never hinted at knowing this person before. So I thought that was interesting. And then when Adar asks him, "Who are you?" he doesn't say anything and just kind of walks away.
Yeah.
Now, granted, this show, I say this every stream. This show is amazing at misdirection. They're so good. Honestly, if there was an award for misdirection, they would win it because they've done a great job.
Like they have us on our toes on almost everything,
which is great. I think it's amazing.
Shyamalan would be proud. I think M. Night Shyamalan would be very proud of them.
Yeah, right. And I think Sauron himself would be proud because he's like, these showrunners are the deceivers. You know what I mean? They're so good at doing that to the point where even when we think we're 100% certain, they will throw in one line of dialogue that makes me question everything. Where I'm just like, wait a minute, maybe. And then I start coming up with some insane theories that would involve 4 more episodes, a goat, and a flux capacitor in order to make it work. But yeah, it's wild how good they are at this.
And we get
to think about it though. It's like even us, like we've had so many right guesses as well, but like even us, like even anyone who's deep into Tolkien lore is like confused and baffled by certain things. And getting someone who is that into it and who knows that much about the actual story they're trying to tell to ask questions and second guess themselves is they've done a good job. Like
done a great job.
Yeah.
Because I think if we got it handed to us on a plate the way that it is in the Silmarillion of having, here's Anatar, granted, look, there's I think we're actually in the minority of people watching this show who have read the Silmarillion and done all this, whereas they would probably watch it, see Anatar, and not have any idea, but they all would take us one Google search and they would know. So I think there was no way we were ever going to get the straight way it was in the book. 1, they don't have the rights, but 2, I don't think they could do that because the great mystery would then be blown. You know what I mean? We'd all know, and there would be no real buildup. We'd just be kind of counting time until he reveals himself to everyone else. So I'm as much as I don't like lore breaking and stuff like that, this is a time where I'm like, it needed to be done for the purpose of television.
Well, I don't know how much any of you have talked to sort of more lay observers of the show, people watching who aren't huge fans, or even people who really like the movies but haven't read the Sill or anything like that. But a lot of people I've talked to, if I've mentioned the theory that Halbrand is Sauron, they're baffled and mind blown.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a theory that's really in the Twitter sphere, so to speak, but hasn't really made its way off the internet. So I think a lot of people, if they do go that direction, it won't feel like a surprise to us, but it will feel like a surprise to the average viewer. The question, though, is you were talking about, Chase, you were talking about that moment where we kind of get this implication that he and Adar have, Halbrand and Adar have met before, and then they pull away to another shot after he asks who he is. That certainly seemed to imply Sauron in some ways. On the other hand, we have that scene with Galadriel and Adar, or Galadriel and Halbrand, pardon me, which is, I thought, the closest we've seen to a romantic tension between the two of them. And I'm curious how you think that plays into that whole theory.
I don't see it.
Please don't ever. No, thank you.
I just don't see it at all.
No.
Yeah, it's funny. So I'm with Henry on this in the sense that I feel like that was two soldiers who bonded on the battlefield and have this sort of like that feeling I got, you know, like I know everyone wants to see romance, and look, maybe there's a companionship there and something could, but for me it felt like, and also if Halbrand is Sauron, him feeling that, being like, you know, you brought me back into the fight and I felt alive again. I felt like myself. And I think in his mind, looking at her, he's like, I see in me what I see in you, and maybe we could. I have a feeling. So this is my theory. If he is revealed as Sauron, I think there'll be a moment when he reveals himself to Galadriel in a way of being like, you and me, like a Luke Vader moment, kind of in that way of being like, you can join me, we can do this, we can bring order to Middle Earth. I know you want to do that, and her just be like, what everyone's been telling me, my anger and my all these things have blinded me, my quest for revenge, and I couldn't see the very thing I was meant to stop right in front of me, which I think will be some beautiful television if it's executed well. But what was the question?
Pretty much, this is meant to be a prediction episode and sort of forward-facing rather than retroactive. But the one thing I want to sort of ask about this past episode is what you all, because I think it implies stuff for the future. What did you all think of Galadriel's scene with Adar, where she and you know, I think Henry, you said something about elves are genocidal. Changed my mind. But I want to hear about how all of you think this is going to affect Galadriel's character going forward. Are we going to see immediate repercussions from this? Did she learn her lesson in that moment slightly? Will we see this? Will we see her sort of start to spiral? How far will she go down to touch the dark before she turns around to face the light? Let's start with you, Henry.
So I think it's a matter of, as somebody in the Discord earlier put it, and I'm not going to be able to put it in anywhere near as good sort of words and syntax, but it very much feels like she's like tasting that darkness and not blurring the lines, but making us think and not fully like where should the line be for what you're able to do. And I feel like it's very much just making us think about those questions and making us think almost about the uncomfortable topics. Because I mean, you have Galadriel being borderline fascist and talking about genociding an entire lot of people who obviously in canon are evil, but then Adar's coming in with the very reasonable, I just want to make these people live and have time. Like, sure, he's doing a lot of bad things to get it, but that's ultimately what he wants.
I want someone to come in with an opposing take. Who can debate Henry on this? Who can see the other side? So someone jump in.
Sorry,
she terrifies me. She absolutely terrifies me. Like. She needs to have an arch, yes, but I don't like it. I feel like it's very out of character for the way that I picture her to be even now, because hating on the orcs, like they are under Sauron. They're being controlled by something evil. That doesn't mean that they are born to be evil. Like they weren't. They were created, yes, but it doesn't mean that they are only that and they don't have any other capabilities. So the fact that she's that narrow-sighted just proves how angry she is and how blinded she is by this hate that she has towards Sauron, and she's willing to take it out on, you know, an elf that's basically been tortured into, and he obviously cares so much about these orcs, you know, he gives so much. They're his babies basically, and then she just says that I'm gonna kill all of your babies and I'm gonna make you watch. Pretty much, I
think it's hard to feel sympathy for the orcs when, from her perspective, all she's ever seen orcs do is try to destroy things that are evil too. For Adar, I know he's Mr. They deserve him for all of Eru, and we all come from the light, imperishable, flame imperishable, and all that. Just like you and me. But he went about doing that by enslaving humans and elves to dig his tunnels. Now, I'm not a politician, but if I was trying to swing people to my side, I probably wouldn't go the slave route. Historically, it's proven it does not work well for people who do that, and rightfully so. On her end, I mean, here's my question. Even as viewers, when's the last time you saw an orc doing anything that wasn't killing, searching, eating something, talking about drinking grog, or fighting over a mithril coat? I mean, we've never seen them. We've never seen them do anything but that. So yeah, I think there's
fiction count. I mean,
I'd love to see an orc, PowerPoint presentation on why we should be allowed into
Let's
society.
do that next time. We'll just be like orcs, good people. Yes.
Yeah.
Orc lives matter, guys.
I think one of the charming things about this episode and show is that it's the first time it's challenged the average viewer to explore that dynamic, and the fact that they so successfully turned people against Galadriel, as with Nikki and many others, and Henry and so many, I think speaks to the fact that that scene was so powerfully done. To get us to everything we knew about orcs was upturned like that. And I think that's really something that the show should be commended on. One last thing about the Southland before we move forward. The stills for the upcoming episode. We get an interesting pairing watching Galadriel and Theo traipse through the destroyed lands, uprooted trees in this sort of orange glow that we now know become Mordor. Where do you think they're headed? Why are these two together? How did that happen? What are we going to see with them in this upcoming episode? Let's start with you, Frederick.
Yeah, I was really wondering about these two, why they are together alone. I think that this is just I think they all are together, and we are seeing those two characters just drifting aside on a side road, talking about something about the sword maybe. But I don't think they are on a mission alone. But I think it's just like an offside road of the whole company moving towards something.
I think that scene will also prove to be a great moment for Theo to develop his sympathy and liking of the elves. We saw a little bit of it in that last episode where he and Arondir are sort of bonding a bit, and then when he saw Galadriel, just like Gimli or any other person that encounters her, is like, wow. He had a little... I think we saw Theo hit puberty in that last episode. She showed up on that horse, and he's like, who is that? I thought that moment was great. So I wonder if he's hanging out with her. So he's like, oh, you're heading to the woods? I'll come with you. Come on. We'll be... It's just like...
Have you heard
he's like, I don't know if I mentioned how many push-ups I can do, but... she's like, is that your mom back there?
How about they are looking for his mom?
They totally could be. They could be looking for just survivors in general, but if they're looking for Bronwyn, that would be
Yeah, because people are getting blown out of proportion. Like they're getting blown everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And someone said run to the bridge or get to the bridge, and then I was like, okay, first of all, which bridge and how is that going to save you? That was my initial thought, but I haven't actually gone through it and had to try to find that bridge. But at the same time, what if they get like separated from each other and they're trying to find her?
It was the bridge, I'm assuming, is the bridge that Isildur was by when he got blown aside.
I think it's the bridge we saw Arondir and is it Mador? Was that his name? Who passed? He got his throat slit. The bridge they were walking into the town on. We see them cross that. So I bet it's.
I think it's that one because I think they were potentially just shouting "get to the bridge" because it was like a place that was covered.
Yeah, I think like also to get under because fire's dropping down on them, or just to be like get across the bridge because if we don't get across that, you're not getting out of here.
Or water.
Yeah, I like.
I was thinking underwater. Yeah.
let's move on from the
Dwarves.
Southlands. I mean, we needed to spend a good amount of time there, considering that was the focus of the last episode. But based on the stills and trailer, we have some. We're going to be seeing some different areas in this episode. Probably a good thing. Let's start with the Harfoots. It's been a little while. Last we saw them, the stranger saved Nori et al. From 3 wolves. And then his arm got blackened, and he put it in the water, and it froze. And then Nori got freaked out because she started to freeze, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Where are we going? We have both a still of the stranger looking handsome and wild as always, and a still of Nori and what's his name?
Sadok.
Lenny. Yeah, Sadok.
Yeah, Sadok Bros.
Sadok Burrows. So, where do you think we're going with that? And let's start with you, Rory.
Just by remind me, we left them off sort of. They were doing their travel montage, right? So I guess they're still somewhere east of the Anduin. I guess. Do you think they're trying to bring all the stories together at some point, like in the next 2 episodes? I'm not sure.
That is where I was headed with my line of questioning to ask if you guys think that's going to happen. But I would love to.
Don't we see them look over a hill or something?
Yes.
And getting really spooked and shocked. So I think they will be close to where the eruption. Close. It could be really far, but they could see this massive destruction.
Didn't Nori say something about like they were going to a valley with like lots of apples and
the
berries
Grove.
and stuff? Yeah,
The Grove. They mentioned that.
the Grove. Yeah, so I think that's where they are headed. I don't know if the relationship between Nori and Meteor Man is permanently damaged because she's now terrified of him, or if that's gonna be mended somehow. Kind of like I said last time, like a bad romantic comedy plot, you know? He's like apologizing, and she's like, "No, no," and then it's like, "Yes, yes," and then he saves her from something else, and then it's like, "Oh, I love you again." But I feel like that's where they're going. But if that's, and it looks like that's where they are in one of the pictures, because it looks like they're picking berries and apples, and it's like there is an orchard or something happening behind them. So
I think they'll reach the Grove this episode. Because then one of the I think it's in the preview, they say something along the lines of "we're nearly there," and so I'm thinking that they do reach the Grove, and obviously the conversation with, well, just the shot with Sadok, Nori, and whoever, they're at the Grove at this point because they were still a little bit behind.
Let me spur some conversation around something that I think we're gonna have to we're gonna see. Druin exploding is not just going to be seen by people in the Southlands. I think one of the first things, first of all, the elves have crazy senses, so even if they don't see it because they're far away, they might be like, "Ooh, I sense something." The clouds are red. The clouds are red. There was a volcano.
My elf ears are tingling.
But the Harfoots are much closer, and I think that we're gonna them see the explosion. What do you think their reaction is to that? Do you think that's near where the Grove is? Is their path going to have to change? Will this be how everything is brought together? What do you think is going to happen there? Frederick, let's start with you.
By seeing the explosion, do you mean like seeing the actual explosion or the aftermath?
I think at the very least we'll probably see smoke in the air and the fallout, of large region of the world going dark.
Yeah, and if they are like proto-hobbits, they are curious, and they should take some interest in that, I think. And they will, I think they will, the moment we see when they are going above the hill and looking all shocked and stuff, I think that is a path they've chosen, not something they just encountered by a chance. I think they chose this path leading towards the things they are seeing.
I think we're going to see the Mystics find them this episode, or at least getting closer. But I think we'll see some Mystic stuff, and I think to Nikki's point, I think that's a time for the stranger to show more of those abilities. I think he's going to have to I think those mystics, they don't seem very friendly. At least I don't think they're going to be friendly to the Harfoots. So I have a feeling that will be a moment of Stranger once again having to protect the Harfoots.
They've been very careful to not show the mystics in scenes with anyone.
Correct.
So where do you think we're going with that? How will they be interacting with other characters? Who will be the first people they come into contact with?
Harfoots.
Harfoots, yeah, that's my vote. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sauron
We don't know
doesn't
how far they
that
traveled.
exists though, so like he shouldn't know about hobbits or Harfoots or anything. It's kind of like, should they even be near in any aspect of this? Like, should they be a part of this anywhere? Doesn't that ruin kind of the whole plot of Frodo having the ring and putting it in eventually?
I'm sorry.
Maybe.
I missed the beginning of that. Who shouldn't know about them?
Sauron.
Oh, right. But the mystics aren't Sauron, right?
No, the mystics,
Oh.
yes, but
Oh, sorry.
Sauron, like they shouldn't be close to Mordor. That's what I feel. Like they should be far away.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like the mystics are just tracking the stranger, and wherever the stranger is, it seems like that's where they're going to go to.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I think the mystics are just going to die before they ever see Sauron, so they can't tell him.
Let's
Well,
get
Harfoots.
Actually, before can I just have one question for everyone? And actually, Greg's for you too. So, look, marketing is what it is. They do great editing to throw things off and take things out of context. But there is a promo in which we hear the voice of what I can only assume is one of the mystics, because it's a female voice that we've never heard before, saying it's like time to reveal your true self, like or your like who you really are, Sauron. And they say that now. Granted, that full line could be something different, like time to reveal your true self, Brian, and go fight Sauron. You know what I mean? But they like cut that part out and did whatever, whatever they're going to do. Like maybe they say time to reveal your true self, blah, 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 Gandalf to the stranger, and go stop Sauron. Maybe that's the full line and they've cut it up. But if they're the ones that say that line in its entirety and that is the line, are they going to be the ones that reveal Sauron to us? Or are we going to get another moment where another Waldreg, where someone's like, it's you, Sauron. And it's just like, I'm not Sauron. And it's just like, nobody knows.
I hope it's Waldring again. He's just like, I can't find him. Like,
yeah, I hope they think Waldreg Sauron. I hope they find him turning the key, and they're like, "It said the one that will turn the key is Sauron, so you must be Sauron." He's like, "I thought you were Sauron. Damn it!"
All right. I've got a take, and this falls in line with everything that I've been saying for a few weeks. I think that we haven't seen Halbrand in any of the promotional materials, right? So we don't know who the mystics interact with. I think when they say that line and it's sort of off screen, it's going to be Halbrand's. And then once again, he's going to get to Eregion, and Celebrimbor is going to be like, hello, Anatar, how are you? And Galadriel won't be there to sort of like it'll be in different sort of situations. We'll be able to be like, oh my god. But anyway, that's my.
I would love if he has fled. Like, I know that we know that he's done it before, where he said, he's like, oh, I abandoned my people and this and that. But I wonder if this time, if he's missing now because he's like, it's time. Like, I'm going to flee this, and by the time I come back, I'm going to come back as who I really am. Or if he's not Sauron, maybe he just once again is like, whoop, things are getting rough. My reign as king has been very short. Bye. Yeah, and he's just like, gets out of there. But because obviously the Southlands,
mountains, like the king.
Oh, you think he's?
Like,
I honestly, he's the king of the dead.
I just want to see him in green.
Yeah, green floaty.
Yeah.
I think we'll see what's in his pouch this episode.
Ooh.
Oh,
I think it's time. I think it's time.
Guys, since we don't have a ton of time left, and we have one whole big storyline to talk about, I'm just going to move us forward.
Go for it.
We need to talk about the dwarves and the elves. So we get quite a few. We get some
the best moments
in the trailer.
The elves and who?
They've had some of the best scenes in the first, up in the season thus far. We have a great still of Elrond's in Khazad-dûm, surrounded by a bunch of dwarves. And I'm curious what you think that scene is. We know he's headed there to talk with them about the controversial mithril theory and the elves leading, et cetera, et cetera. And we have some interesting moments in the trailer that sort of imply that maybe Durin 3 is not going to be overjoyed about the idea of helping the elves. How do you all see that unfolding? What's going to happen here? Let's start with Frederick.
Yeah, I can see that the king is holding some sort of parchment or paper. Yeah, paper isn't the right word, but he seems to be reading some kind of note written by Gil-galad, maybe.
Ooh.
Because obviously the last thing we saw was Elrond and Durin walking back together as friends, right? And Durin told him that he was going to help. He had all the elven race in his hands and everything. He had this moment. But I think we'll see some kind of I don't know, an agreement maybe. But I think that the king will oppose to this pretty hard at start.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think there's even a line in the promo where he's like, we don't dig where they're like in the darkness or where there's no light. I can't remember, he says something along the lines of, we're just essentially where mithril is. We can't do it anymore. I wonder, does anyone here think that he knows that there is a Balrog in there, and if they keep digging, they're just going to wake this thing up, and that's what he's really worried about during the third. Do we think that he knows it's there and just doesn't want to tell his son yet? And like that's one of his things of like, look, before I pass, I need to pass this knowledge on to you of like, this is what's really going on down here and why I can't have you digging in these certain areas. Or do we think that Balrog ain't in there right now?
I don't think. I think at most, even if he did know something about it, it would just be that, oh, that's some kind of thing that we should just leave alone because that's just dangerous.
Yeah, correct.
I don't know if he knows the Balrog. Yeah.
But canonically, is the Balrog in there under that mountain already as of the time period we're in now, the Second Age?
I believe.
Or is that ever even just okay? Yeah.
I don't think it's addressed, but the Balrog has been sleeping this whole time. There's no evidence of Balrog still really moving around Middle Earth. I think
correct.
I think it may be referenced that Balrog has been sleeping since the First Age. I believe.
Cool. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't misremembering that. Like, no, the Balrog didn't enter there until later. But I thought post First Age that Balrogs were for the most part gone. But yeah, I definitely think he's going to be like what Frederick said. I think that during the third and his son are going to have an argument about I don't want to help them, or also just like why should we, or it's dangerous, but and that's ours technically. We own Khazad-dûm. This is where the mithril is. Sorry, guys.
And Harry just
I have a question.
Oh yes.
The thing Gil-galad said was that the Silmarils were connected to mithril, right? And that's why they need it in some kind of way. Tom in the chat said, do you think that maybe the dwarves will have a different legend about the mithril? And if that could play a role in Durin's? Like, no, the mithril is nothing about that or something like that, because many are upset about the story about the mithril and where the origin is. And do you think we will see a different take from the dwarves?
We know that dwarves are the biggest revisionists going. They always have a different story for everything. So it's probably going to be like, under the misty mountains, a brave dwarf fought a Balrog, and we're all watching it.
And they both had their hand on a stone.
What if you think potentially the shot we get of the Balrog is actually the kind of their version of the apocryphal tale and discovery of mithril?
Be interesting, yeah, and that would be interesting.
And that's the only shot you actually get in the show, and it's just to say, oh yeah, this Balrog, this thing appeared, but we killed it.
It seems like we would have gotten that if they had their own story about the mithril. I think we would have gotten that already when Durin revealed it to Elrond and said, "Hey, like this is this thing we found," and he would be like, "Our people have this story," I feel like for them, it's a new thing that they have no history for. And that's my theory.
I kind of feel like what's going to happen is he's going to come in and he's going to use Elrond is this smooth talker. He's going to use the same trick that he used on his son, on the king, and be like, "So you guys are our last hope. Wink, wink. Please save the elven race. You will be forever. We will be forever in your debt. Worship, worship." And then he will like that. But then also he'll be like, "So we plan on making some rings." And then he'll be like, "Yeah, the trade-off is gonna be I need one of those rings. Yes, give me.
How about 7?
How about 7, please? Thank you. Yes." You know?
Regarding the dwarves, the Balrog, I wanted to ask, sort of off of Henry's question, do you think that the Balrog, we've got implications all over based on sort of the stills and the way that the trailer unfolds? The implication is that something happens, that maybe they keep digging despite Durin 3 telling them not to, and then we see the shot of the Balrog. Do you think, Harry put this in the poll, but I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts, or this poll in the chat, but do you think, I know Henry's opinion already, but the rest of you, what do you think? Will the Balrog actually enter this season? It seems in some respects too early, but what do you think? Are we actually going to get that? Is that what's going to happen to Khazad-dûm this season, or will that be later on? Or will we see a Balrog, but they won't destroy? What are you guys' thoughts?
Soon. It's too soon.
Yeah, I hope. I mean, look, they can do whatever they want, but yes, I agree with Nikki. It would bum me out if we see Khazad-dûm just get destroyed. In the first season, it seems like a lot of, we've had a lot of big moments in this season already for, stuff that would usually be saved for later seasons. I would like to think that if they are planning that in this 5-season run, that they wouldn't blow that in the first season.
Let's go to the continue sort of to our storyline adjacent to the dwarves, the elves. Obviously, we see Elrond's being sent to Khazad-dûm. What do you think is up with our boy Celebrimbor, and what is up with Gil-galad? What's going on over there? Are we going to see them, even though we don't get stills? What do you think is happening in Linden and Eregion and all that good stuff? Rory, let's start with you.
I think that based on what we know, I think they're just waiting on the outcome of what's happening with Elrond, and they're just waiting on bated breath to see what he returns with, if he gets a yes or if he gets a no. But there's gonna be a twist where Anatar's been there the whole time, and Celebrimbor's been being spoken in his ear, but I don't know. I think for now, for all we know, they're just waiting for their guy Elrond to come back with some good news.
I wonder if they've. Yeah, I wonder if they finished the Forge. I have a feeling that the Forge may be done based on what we saw that last season. It was coming along quite fast. I think either 7 or 8. They got to get that thing. Like you were joking about, was it Chekhov's volcano in the chat? That I think it's we got Chekhov's forge. If you talk about a forge in the first episode, by the final act, you got to see that forge light up. So
yeah.
What do you reckon that could be an early shot for season 2, the grand opening?
Totally. I feel like based on what we've got going, I think you've got a show called Rings of Power. I think in the first season, you need to earn that title by giving us at least one ring, or at least the talk of the idea of forging the rings. Now the question is, do we think that Gil-galad and Celebrimbor, this whole plan they've had, obviously we've been getting it piecemeal through Elrond, do you think their plan all along has been to make rings, or do you think that idea of the ring business will come externally from another party?
It's kind of what I'm hoping for.
Me too.
I'm kind of hoping that Anatar has been there the whole time, and we just haven't been introduced to him yet, and he's coming in as either a cliffhanger, being like, "Hey, we're making these rings. This cool dude here suggested it. He's my buddy," or that he's being introduced in the season after, and you'll kind of see more of Celebrimbor and who's actually whispering in his ear.
One question that we have is we see this shot that's on the screen right now of these one or two riders heading to Eregion. It's a little unclear. Who do you think they are? Why is that second horse perhaps not carrying a rider, or a rider slumped over? It's hard to tell. It does seem that we're going to get a merging of storylines of some sort. Is that Galadriel finally heading to Eregion? Will Celeborn be there? Let me hear your thoughts. What are we seeing there? How's it going to play in with everything else we've seen so far?
It's Bronwyn slumped over, I think.
Oh, yeah, that'd be some elvish healing as they bring her there.
And it would kind of mirror with Arwen taking Frodo to Rivendell.
Right.
But doesn't we see Bronwyn and Galadriel in a picture together? It's fully healed.
I wonder, watch Bronwyn go there, and Bronwyn's like, let's make some rings. And we're all like, oh my god!
Oh no!
The healer is Sauron. No, but it's funny, when I first saw that image, before seeing anything, I just saw it out of context, I think like yesterday or something like that. But my first thought was, oh god, does she go off and find Adar and then capture him and mess him up and then bring him on the horse, and she's gonna bring him to Eregion or something like that, where she's like, only here can we contain him. But and on second thought, I think that might be wrong. That's just a theory I had, because it's a dark shape on that horse. But like I said, it could be no rider at all. Could be nothing. But I thought that would be interesting.
Due to take Sauron to Numenor, aren't they? Like they.
I figured they would take Adar. Yeah. Oh, so sorry. Did you say Sauron?
Or. Yeah, no, I mean Adar, yes.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what. Oh, sorry, my dog's barking. His dog friend is coming over for a play date. He's very excited. But yeah, I think that I think it could be Muriel. I don't know why Muriel will be slumped over. Maybe she's just really aerodynamic and just leaning forward a lot to get some speed. But yeah, those are my two theories.
Do you reckon the horse could be Beric?
No.
Yeah.
He gone.
Beric is just going himself, and Beric's like, I've got some ideas about rings.
What do you think,
Bill?
Thoughts?
What? I missed that.
Cedric, any thoughts? What do you think?
Yeah. Did you ask me now? Because I didn't hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I was actually zoning out because I was seeing Rory's camera popping off in and out. So I've been like, so yeah, I'm watching the YouTube right now, getting the cams fixed. So I'm zoned out. Sorry.
Oh, it's fine. So I actually have one more thought, and then we'll get to last predictions. I just realized, I don't know, everyone was talking about how Halbrand's not in the promotional material. I don't see Arondir really in much of the promotional material, and we haven't really talked about what might be happening to him. What do you guys think? Perhaps is he the one who was killed in the flames of Orodruin, or will he be doing something else? What are you guys' thoughts over there?
Break some people's hearts, I would say.
Actually, I think we know for a fact he's not dead, because they've been using a promo clip actually from, I don't know if it's this episode or the next. I assume it's this coming episode, where he has some other words for her before she runs out through the gate with someone, which looked like at the time Halbrand, but I could be wrong. But they showed something. I'll try to find the clip. But because at first when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is just the moment where he met her and told her to go after Adar. But I think there's another one where they say some kind of farewell, because it looks post volcano action. But I could be wrong. But I don't think he's dead. I don't think so. That would be a big character loss, though.
Yeah, agreed. I like him.
Let's move
he's
on.
One of my favorites, actually. He's really surprising, his performance.
Dude, watching him fight people, all day. I want to watch him. I want to watch him knock arrows and knock jaws, just like punching people in the face. Big fan.
All right, so each of you, I'd love to have each of you give me one prediction that we haven't yet aired. Something, I mean, throw some spaghetti at the wall here. What's something that you think we could see in this next episode, or even the one after, that you're excited to see, or something that we may not expect. If anyone has one offhand, go ahead and jump in. If not, then I'm going to make you come up with one on the spot in 10 seconds.
I have one, and it's for Meteor Man. And so obviously we see him with his hand in the water, icy, all of that, seems to be healing. But I think it's actually him essentially suppressing whatever it is. And I think that when the mystics are coming along, or just whatever, is that that's essentially gonna be revealed as part of just sort of the egg cracking for his true form. And so it was him kind of suppressing his true form there. And we'll learn that when they have their interactions.
Do you have a prediction about what his true form is?
Good old Bally Boy, Balrog.
Hmm.
That's my guess.
All right. Rory, any predictions for stuff we haven't talked about yet? Or things we have talked about, but we haven't aired the prediction?
Well, thanks, Henry, for stalling for time. I appreciate that. What I just came up with something. I think we're gonna, since I'm very anti Halbrand is Sauron theory, I'm gonna go with maybe this is more hopeful than anything. Meteor Man is gonna be revealed as actually he is Anatar Sauron. The mystics are gonna show up and give him a glow up, give him a nice fade, gonna set him up looking all pretty, looking
If
like
they
he's
are
the
mystic
Lord of
hairdressers, I will be so happy. If one of
That
them's
would
like,
be
I'm
so
hair,
funny.
I'm makeup, and I'm
Yeah.
nails, and they all
Yeah.
just get in there
Oh,
and clean them
just
up.
do-
I'm so down. I'm so
We're
down.
just
I
the
would be
traveling
so
hobo
happy.
van, just helping
Yes.
people.
Yeah.
You're after the strange guy.
And one of them's just carrying a mirror. It's not a trident. She just rotates it. It's got a mirror.
Yes, a little.
A ring
Goes
light.
around the
I'm going to encourage the people on the stream to put your predictions in the chat too. Please throw everything you got. Let's see. Nikki, you're up. What do you think? What's the prediction?
I think we'll see more elf-human kissing.
Oh,
Oh,
Let's
the
go,
same
yeah.
two or different ones?
The same too, not different ones. I don't want to see
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Nobody wants to
Yeah,
see
yeah.
that. Or maybe we get to finally see Galadriel's husband and child, supposedly, that we no one seems to
Husband,
be able to
maybe.
agree whether she's married and has a kid or not.
I mean-
I don't think so, because she's not behaving like she is, but
But
Nikki,
also,
I
I'm
want to press
pretty
you.
sure.
Oh, pardon. Let me just one more, Henry, really quick. I want to
Yeah,
ask
no
Nikki,
worries.
as far as the more the continued kissing, I would love to hear a little bit about where you think that relationship's going, just in the next episode or two. What do you think is going to happen with them?
historically, elf-human relationships rarely work out well for both parties.
never. Like, yeah, well, rarely, yes. I mean, I suppose they can be happy for a while. It
Mhm,
worked
yeah.
for Arwen and
They could be
Aragorn.
happy for exactly 5 seasons at most.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is it.
Yeah.
We know in the third age, I don't think they're together.
Henry, what were you going to say?
Well, I'm pretty sure Celebrian isn't even born till the third age.
Correct.
So yeah, so if at most we would have happy married Galadriel and Celeborn.
Which
but that,
I don't think will happen until next season.
No,
I don't think
no.
we're going to have a Celeborn. I don't think he's been cast.
You have any last predictions for us?
I'm gonna steal a prediction from the chat, from Rory in the chat. Okay, are you ready?
Go ahead, buddy.
Dorin the Third dies, giving the throne to Dorin the Fourth.
Yeah, I think that's got to happen at some point this season.
Yeah.
I'll buy that. I buy that.
Yeah.
And Chase, let's end with you. Give me.
Celebrity was born in the second age, by the way. Just throwing that in there. Early in the second age.
She was?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's interesting. That's a deviation from what we're getting here. But I'll make this quick. So my 2 theories. My 2 theories right away are: 1, I think we're getting talk of ring making, episode 7, and I think we are getting mystics attacking Harfoots. I think those are the 2 things that I would put my, claim my stake on and say, like, I think that's going to happen this next episode.
I fully support that second one.
Couple from our those in the chat. We have Papa Revan says the stranger will be a Balrog. Jay guessed that Muriel is going to go blind. It's not a bad one. Rory, as we mentioned, talks about during 3 dying and the throne passing.
Mhm.
David guesses that we're going to have an Ent and an Ent wife kissing. I would love to see that.
I would love that as well.
Yes,
Some leaf on bark action.
Yes.
It looks like Andromeda and Sauron are going to smooch. Let's see. Any other good ones? Let's see.
I do remember the showrunners mentioned in an interview that we will not see the strangers' true intentions and true identity revealed in season 1. They did say that in a recent interview.
You said what? Sorry, say it again.
The showrunner said that we will the true purpose of the stranger will not be revealed in season 1.
Interesting.
So that was surprising to me as well. But that doesn't mean that we won't see part of his nature or part of his purpose revealed. So,
well,
we shall see.
We are now at an hour, and it is time to sign off until next week. I, for one, am very excited for the next episode. Thank you, everyone in the chat, for joining us, and thank you to our guests, our panelists. Rory, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me so much. Thanks, guys. Pleasure.
Of course.
Chase, welcome back.
Thank you. It was great to see you guys.
Nikki, thanks for being here as always.
Always a good time. Always good fun.
Frederick, just as reliable. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, and your first time hosting, very good.
Yeah, great job, Greg.
Yeah.
Guys, and
congratulations, Gregory. Well done.
Appreciate it, man. Henry, thank you for joining us as well.
Yeah, it was great you filling in last minute, and obviously you did quite good.
Like I was taking notes from like Harry through some of it too. I was like, it's like I'm a talk show host.
You did good.
Yeah, big shoes to fill, because Harry's a good little host, so that's big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again, everyone, for tuning in. Harry, thanks for producing this and for continuing this awesome stream of prediction weekly channel. I think we all appreciate getting a chance to do this. And we will see all of you next week.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.